Hello and welcome to Zimbabwe Daily, your everyday platform where we bring you news, information, and everything that is trending. My name is Yvonne Muchaka, and this is Behind the Microphone, a program that takes a look at all the issues that are happening in our media space and try to bring them to the fore and talk about them so that they really make sense to all of us. And today, we are talking South Africa and the xenophobic attacks that have been taking place, but we also want to put it into a greater context. What exactly is happening globally and how are we affected as a nation? How can we deal with these issues? Because at the end of the day, we've got a nation to build, we have got a people to protect, and we've got our pride as a nation to protect. Joining me in studio today is Rawlings Magede from Hill Zimbabwe Trust. Rawlings, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, viewers.
Excellent. I just want us to break it down from your observations as Hill Zimbabwe. I know that as an organization, you are advocating for peaceful coexistence of people in Zimbabwe, but we have nationals who are in the diaspora, South Africa, the United Kingdom, all over the world, as you know. Just a quick analysis of what's been happening in South Africa.
Okay, thank you. I think we have to look at it from the view that why are people in South Africa in the first place?
Right.
I think you'd understand that in Zimbabwe's history, I think there are various episodes of economic meltdown that we've witnessed. Even if you look at even politically, there are some people who fled the country due to episodes of violence. You can date it back from even from the 80s, from the time of the Kukura Hundi. You can look at 2008. You can look at Murambatsvina, among other episodes. But I think what has been unfolding in South Africa is very unfortunate because of the strong ties over the years that we have with South Africa. I think before South Africa's independence in 1994, Zimbabwe was home to several South African nationalists who were taking refuge in Zimbabwe. And if my history serves me well, we never read or heard of any xenophobic attacks against South Africans in Zimbabwe.
Right.
So what's been happening in South Africa, I think from that view, I think it's very unfortunate. It should be a state of concern for even the entire African continent.
Right.
Because the brotherhood concept that is underpinned by the regional groupings, your SADC, your AU that we have, that binds us together. Mm-hmm. I think it's at a point where it's breaking, because now, I mean, our foreign nationals in South Africa, they no longer feel safe.
Right.
But South Africa is just close to Zimbabwe. We have got, even economically, we have contributed to the development of South Africa one way or the other, even through human resources, even through trade, among other things. So from that viewpoint, I think what's happening in South Africa is very unfortunate and must be condemned by any progressive African. Yeah.
Right. We are coming to you live from our Zimbabwe Daily Studios. Feel free to send in your comment, your contribution. What do you think exactly is happening in South Africa? We've heard some people saying that Zimbabweans should just come back home because there's a pending election in 2023. They must leave South Africa and come back home and fix the situation. And that's sort of justifying what's happening there. What would you say, to fellow brethren who feel that Zimbabweans in South Africa must return home?
I think the challenge with that perspective is that there shouldn't be anyone who must be subjected to what Zimbabweans in South Africa are being subjected to. That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. In a normal democracy, you talk about issues of diaspora vote.
Right.
In the past, we have had even foreign nationals at embassies, Russia, among other countries. Mm-hmm. There are people who vote. There are people who vote in this country, yet they are nationals of other nationalities, mm-hmm. because in their host countries there is the diaspora vote. Right. Secondly, these people, they are economic refugees in the first place. So they view that they should come back. They should come back and do what? Is our
Right.
economy, can our economy absorb them? In my view, I don't think our economy is strong enough to provide jobs and opportunities for people who have already settled in other nationalities. On the issue of the diaspora vote, I think while it's important for these people to come back, but they should not come back under the pressure of xenophobic attacks. They should just come back from a position of comfort, from a position of rest, not that they are fleeing violence. What's happening in South Africa is very, very unfortunate. While at least it's good for them to come back, but
Yeah.
violence of any form
Would
against
never
any
solve
human
anything.
being will
I
never
mean,
solve
Elvis
anything.
Nati is gone, bent to ashes,
Yeah.
just because certain people have a problem with Zimbabweans in particular. I think the other African nationals, they are okay for now.
Yeah.
Zimbabweans are seriously under attack, and we know from what we've read in the media that Elvis was a gardener, and I'm really wondering what economic opportunity he could have been denying fellow South Africans. But I'm sure they've got their own justifications. And I think we saw this young man talking with passion and about the need for Zimbabweans in particular to go back home. And it's quite unfortunate, but this is where we are as a nation, and this is what we are seeing. What is your comment? What is your take on what's happening in South Africa? I know the Christian community has called upon fellow Christians to pray for Zimbabweans in South Africa, but I want us to earlier on you were talking about an interesting trend that we have seen. Before I just come back to talk about the xenophobic attacks in South Africa, I want to talk about the general trend that's been happening globally. We've seen Zimbabweans being deported from the UK. We have seen some being deported from Botswana. And now South Africa is calling for Zimbabweans to come back. What could be the real reason why we're seeing this?
I think the reasons they vary. In some instances, I was reading some interesting analysis by someone who was saying that the influx of foreign nationals in countries such as South Africa has led to an increase in the number of in crime rates, in issues, other vices such as prostitution, etc. But I think within each and every country, there are challenges that come with foreign nationals. If it's not something related to issues of documentation, issues of passports, etc. These are administrative issues that even our own government is supposed also to address. If you look at in Zimbabwe, for example, how it is difficult to acquire documentation such as just a passport.
Yeah, even an ID.
Even an ID. If you go there, and then so someone will have the challenge of facing hunger or trek down south for greener pastures.
Right.
So while least it's valid to say that influx of foreign nationals in countries such as South Africa has led to increase in crime rate, prostitution, etc. I think host countries that are home to most foreign nationals, they must also come up with stricter measures to contain foreign nationals in
Right.
terms from engaging in criminal activities, etc. If you look at what's happening in Kenya, for example, there is the Dabab, the biggest refugee in Africa.
Right.
But while East in the past they've encountered challenges in terms of controlling refugees from Ethiopia, Somalia, it is that are fleeing war. They've also come up with stopgap
Mechanism,
measures to just ensure that even within the camps, basic services are provided, etc. So you can never blame a foreign national who is in a country illegally, but it's also about the economic environment in Zimbabwe that was prevailing then. Why is it that we don't have people from Botswana giving problems to South Africans? Their economy is functional, their
Right.
opportunities. Why is it that the same cannot be said can be said about Namibia and other countries within the SADC region?
Right.
So Zimbabwe is a peculiar case because of what's happening economically as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing that I know is that Zimbabwe is definitely going to come out of this mess. And one day we'll be hosting you, South Africans, in Zimbabwe. So let's treat each other well, right? Because we won. We won at the end of the day. I want to talk about the All Lives Matter campaign that we've seen going around. We saw when George Floyd in the United States was murdered, there were like riots, in the states, and almost all countries, and even in Africa, we rose up with these placards, hashtag Black Lives Matter. Which black lives really matter, in this case? Not much has been done around Elvis Nyati's case. We've heard, except we've seen EFF, marching and
Yeah.
going to the place and offering solidarity with the family. But beyond that, we saw the ZANU-PF press statement where they were saying the incident is unfortunate, and then the whole statement was on the Triple C, led by Advocate Nelson Chamisa. We saw the ZANU-PF Youth League. They issued a somewhat sobering statement, and they were really calling on the ANC to take action. But we see that it is the ANC that side, it is the government representatives that side, who are then condoning and acting as if they're in the same boat with the Dudula group. Now, what should be the response as Hill Zimbabwe? What response would you be expecting from government of Zimbabwe, from government of South Africa, and probably from the regional body like SADC, when it comes to issues like this? Does really all life matter?
Okay, maybe from a national level. I highlighted when I started that why are those people in those countries?
Right.
Not that we are condoning any xenophobic attacks on anyone.
Right.
But government has got a responsibility to take care of its own citizens.
Right.
Even the constitution is quite clear on that. So the first thing is, let's fix the mess so that we don't have our foreign nationals seeking menial jobs or degrading jobs in any country. Secondly, the government is supposed to government engagement. They're supposed to engage their ANC comrades, because they've got a long history of assisting each other during times of disaster. You remember during before even South Africa, like what I highlighted, gained independence in 1994.
Right.
There are a lot of we housed nationalists. We helped them. So I think at that level, they are also supposed to take their engagement efforts to the ANC.
But could it be that the government of South Africa itself is failing, or has failed to deal with the issue of immigrants from Zimbabwe? I'm sure there's more than 3 million Zimbabweans in South Africa.
One underlying, this is my view,
right?
My analysis. One underlying challenge is that there are looming elections in South Africa. The only group that is merged, at least that I saw, is the EFF.
Right.
Even if you look at the EFF stance on foreign nationals, they're quite clear that they're supposed to be accommodated.
Right.
Maybe because of
especially
also
Africans,
maybe because of the looming 2024 elections in South Africa. Then, on one hand, the ANC has enjoyed support since independence, because due to various policies that it has enacted around also empowering its own citizens. You talk about social grants, etc. The list is endless. So it's a political game, in my view. It's a political game that's at play to say, okay, we don't want to upset the people that have supported us since independence. So it's a catch.
But Zimbabweans are not going to vote in that election.
Yes, they are not. But it's also about not ruffling and creating a lot of chaos for the ANC. It's rather you cautiously approach xenophobic attacks. Even in the past, xenophobic attacks are not new in South Africa.
No.
In the past, they've happened. And the approach again by the ANC government, it was a bit cautious. Around the need. Then at regional level, definitely SADC, the African Union, they need to send a strong statement. They need to send a strong statement to the South Africans.
Right.
and remind them of Ubuntu, remind them of brotherhood, remind them of dignity. There's no one who's supposed to go through to be treated the same way that foreign nationals are being treated in South Africa.
Right.
They must be treated with. If there's a way around their permits, if there's a way that they can work around it, they should do so. Because Africa, SADC, AU is what binds us
All of
together.
us, yeah.
Us together as a nation. The African Union talks about Agenda 2060, what 2063. If you read Agenda 2063, it's clear on the need for peace, the respect for human rights in the Africa that we want by 2063.
Right.
So that alone, what's happening in South Africa, it's already a reversal or a regression in terms of achieving the African Union's agenda. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, Magede. We are coming to you live from our Zimbabwe Daily Studios, and this is Behind the Microphone, a program where we are taking a look at what is happening in South Africa. Our government's doing enough in order to protect the people. Rolling talks about being politically correct for the season, seeing that South Africa has got elections in 2024. Zimbabwe also has elections in 2023. Is it in the best interest for the government of the day to act around those issues and even call for our people to be protected in those countries? We've seen Nigeria issuing a threat and some media reports saying that South Africa has apologized. And we have seen that these attacks have primarily focused on Zimbabweans, and that is a very, very sad situation. I think as a nation, we have all tried to speak out, especially on the brutal murder of Elvis Nyati. That dehumanizing can never be justifiable by any human being, and it's very unfortunate that it's happening, but there's a family that has to bear the brunt of that brutality. And you ask, as a people, what must we do to help those of us in foreign land? How can we help you? How do we help our people who are in the foreign lands? I was trying to talk to a number of people that I know that are in South Africa, and one thing they've said is we've limited movement, around the areas where we stay, because they don't know how long this Operation Dudula thing is going to take. And I think that's one thing that we can ever imagine, just living in fear and having to go through such such a painful period. And somebody says Zimbabweans were never a violent or criminal people. Why now? And I think that's really critical, Magede, because yes, we've seen people from the UK being deported. Some of them are said to be criminals there. We have seen a lot of media reports linking money heists, robberies, armed robberies in South Africa to Zimbabweans, the same in different countries. And, somebody saying Zimbabweans have never been that that violent or criminal. So what's happening? What has changed, really? I think that's a very critical question. Like, what happened to us?
It wouldn't be fair to say that Zimbabweans are,
Yeah, I know.
traditionally, it's just
stereotypical, right?
yeah, it's just a statement that is not based by any, evidence.
Okay.
Because, of course, I'm Zimbabwean, but if you look at countries like South Africa, also, if you have been to South Africa, if you go to Park Station, we've had stories of people get robbed by fellow Zimbabweans in South Africa.
Right.
Yeah, but this is not to justify that people, they're supposed to be treated like that.
No.
That's why I spoke about the need for mechanisms in place, strengthen the justice system. If someone commits a crime,
Yeah.
just like anywhere else in the world, they have to face the law.
Right.
If they commit a crime that warrants them to be jailed, they must be jailed.
Right.
But I'm just saying this so that we can also appreciate also the context. While least people can argue to say that the issues of crime rate, prostitution, what, but I don't think it warrants this kind of treatment. There's never a life that is worth losing. Someone can say it's just one person, but one person is way too many
Right.
Yeah, it's a big number. One is a big number. Yeah.
One is a big number indeed. Tell that to the family of Elvis Nyati, and they will tell you that they have lost a leader in their home. Rollins, thank you so much for making time to
Thank
just have
you.
this conversation.
No, thank you so much.
Excellent. And thank you, Zimbabwe, for joining us for this program on Zimbabwe Daily. Behind the microphone is the program, and we were looking at the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. History will not absolve us if we keep quiet on what is happening. An injustice to one is an injustice to all. Africa is for all Africans. What's happening in South Africa is pretty unfortunate. And as a nation, as Zimbabwe, we need to rebuild the very foundations so that our nation can function again. We cannot lose our dignity over and over and over again. My name is Yvonne Muchaka, and it was a pleasure having you on the platform. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of day.